Okay, Iris, this is from your request and for the request of my sisters, I guess. You want to know how I make my alfalfa sprouts. When Vicky was gone for 5 weeks, I was desperate for something to give me more nutrition, and so I went to the internet, and there's a ton of things out there about how to sprout all kinds of seeds. But alfalfa was easiest, I thought, the quickest, and had a lot of nutrition, so that's why I decided for alfalfa sprouts. I realized right away that there's lots of different ways to do it. My way is just one way. It's the way that I kind of like and prefer. It is so simple in the mason jars. And you have to first go out there and get the proper seed. And so this is called Food to Live. And I think if you go to foodtolive.com, and let's see if we see it down there. Yeah. info@foodtolive.com. You can go ahead and go on and find out what kind of sprouts you'd like to have. But these are really great for sprouting. They're organic and cleaned and all kinds of stuff. And another thing that I do is that, it's going to take water to do sprouts. And so we have our Berkey filter. And I do not want water coming out of the tap to grow these sprouts because that has chlorine and fluoride and all kinds of other stuff in it that I don't want in my sprouts. And so anytime I'm using water, I use it from my Berkey. Also, I was very impressed with one method that was very simple of using a kind of a strainer. You can buy them. I think they're $3 or $4 at the store. But I asked Vicki permission while she was gone to go in, and she went to the sewing store and got these. I don't know if they use these, I don't know, for some kind of sewing stuff. I don't know. I'm a guy. But anyway, this is what we use for dehydrating fruit. And we just put it on top of our trays, and then these peel up, and then the fruit comes right off. Well, so I decided to go ahead and make this little filter type cap. And so I went in and drew a line, a circle all the way around the inside, and then cut it out. And that's how I came up with these filter caps. And very easy to do. Now here's the thing. When you first start off, I take my seeds and I take 1 tablespoon, a level tablespoon, and put it in a jar, and then add 1 more. So for a total of 2 tablespoons into a jar. Then I add water, and I let that sit for 8 hours, 8, 10, whatever. And then you're going to pour that water off. The reason you're doing that is because seeds come with a natural chemical that kind of protects it when it's in the soil, and that chemical is not something we want to ingest in large quantities. So we're going to soak that and get that off. The seeds will start to swell, but they won't swell at the end of 8 hours. They won't swell enough to keep from coming out of this kind of, the holes that are kind of large here. So I'll just kind of be careful with it when I'm pouring it out. And after the 8-hour soak, that's the only time you want to have water soaking your seeds or your sprouts as they begin to grow. That water can actually begin to rot them if you let it sit in there for 2 or 3 days, and don't want to do that. So I'm going to take these seeds, and I'm going to let the water out, get as much out as I can. And I know this looks like a kind of a long process, but I want to get all of that water out that I can. And then what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to shake my jar, and I'm going to kind of roll it over a couple of times and spread those seeds out, and they kind of stick to the to the sides. And then I'm going to set this aside. So I never set it in the sunlight. I always go ahead and set it in a corner. It's not dark, but it's a corner that it's a corner where they're kind of out of the sun, and that's what you want. And once I do that, then I let them go and grow, and they'll grow until they get to the point after about 4 days where the sprouts start looking like this. And when they start looking like that, these have been cleaned out. I cleaned the hulls out of these, but you'll want to clean the hulls out because they make the alfalfa sprouts a little bit bitter, I understand. And so I take them and I, pour the Berkey water in here, mix it up with my hands a little bit, and then you will have the husks, some will float and some will sink. And the ones that float, I just gently, because it is family, I'll just gently blow on it until I get all those holes over toward the edge, and I'll simply dump these holes out, and then I'll simply go in and lift the alfalfa sprouts back into a jar, just kind of like, pick them out. I know this gets a little messy, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take them out, and I probably ought to go through this process just to give you a good idea one time, although it is taking more time than I wanted. But see, I'm just trying to take those sprouts out. And so what you'll do is you'll continue doing this until you've gotten all the sprouts out you can. and then I'll go ahead and take the husks that are at the bottom, because some of them are gonna, you see, they sink down at the bottom too. Not sure why that is. Some float, some sink, but I'm gonna put them in here. Now I'm gonna shorten this process. Well, I would like to shorten this process, but really, see, I've got some sprouts that I could let this sit just a little bit. So if I'd have poured off the top, I wouldn't have so much mess to deal with. But then I'd go ahead and get as many of those sprouts out as I could. I'll put the lid back on, and this is important. This part is important. It's a very simple process, but some of this is really important, okay? Like getting all the water out. So once you've got all the sprouts, the husks are out, put the lid back on, and then pour out any excess water, okay? And then let them sit. Get that water out. Okay, and then I just bring them over here, set them aside the other, and when they get to the point, and when they get to the point that they're growing really well and filling up the bottle, then I'll go ahead and take them from here, and I'll just put them not in the sunlight, but I'll put them someplace where they have access to more light. I don't want the sunlight drying them out or making them hot or anything like that. And then after they've done that a little while, I'll just come back over and pour a little excess water off, if there is any. Well, doesn't appear to be any here. And then I'll simply put them in the refrigerator. Okay, and store them. They're good for 3 to 5 days, probably about 5 days or so. But I'm always growing mine fresh. But these are things that could be very helpful if you're just wanting to grow sprouts. I found this the easiest. The trays that they have, I found that the mason jars were just the easiest way to go. And so anyway, for what that's worth, there you have it. Alfalfa sprouts are not cheap. The really good ones are not cheap, but they're very highly nutritious, and that's what I needed to beef up my nutritional process here for trying to take care of my body. Okay, if you have questions, just let me know. But this is your brother signing out. Catch you later.